Hey Haynes, hey Alan, thanks for your time today. I just wanted to make this video going over the spreadsheet that we are sending along with this letter of intent, because sometimes when you look at a spreadsheet and just an LOI, it can be a little either overwhelming or it doesn't tell the entire story. So let me just walk through this quickly so you and your seller can get an understanding of what our offer is. That way we can all be on the same page together. So again, this scenario one, or this top kind of these top rows, are essentially describing a traditional HUD statement. We come to the deal, we buy $2 million, we pay $2 million with cash, and we all walk away, and you guys are happy-go-lucky. That's 95% of the way transactions happen around the United States and probably the world too. But let me just explain quickly what we're looking at on this top portion, and then we'll go and explain how and why our offer will make so much more sense from a tax perspective, which, again, maybe that's for your client, maybe it's not. I've discovered that a lot of our sellers, when I buy the properties like this, it ends up being a really huge win because they're saving so much money in taxes from Uncle Sam. So quickly, what the income is, the way we underwrote the deal, $196,000. Our bank debt, whoever we're going to borrow from, we're going to end up borrowing at probably $142,000 to $148,000, depending upon where interest rates are. I saw in the lease that there is the insurance is on the tenant. The property taxes right now is on the landlord. So we're having a net cash flow, annual cash flow of about $50,000 a year. So we buy this property for $2 million. Again, I'm getting information from Haynes that you bought it in 2000, whatever date this was, for $1.3 million. There is no mortgage, again, according to our records. So closing costs are going to be around 6%, commissions, and then maybe a couple other fees. Could be ballpark around there. Your seller is going to walk with $1.88 million, which is going to leave about a capital gain of $700,000, which is a great day. It's a liquidity day. We're happy for you guys. That's the name of the game. Tax bracket, again, this is where the CPA comes into play. We are not accountants. We don't know how this works. That's why this is a total assumption, but probably going to be in the 35% tax bracket. You can go and consult with your CPA on this. But you're going to have about $250,000 of capital gains taxes that's going to be owed. So the walk away for the seller is he's going to walk at closing with $1.88 million, but his actual net after Uncle Sam comes in is $1.635 million. So where our offer comes into play, and where I believe that this is going to be beneficial for the seller, which is really the whole point that I try and do with when I'm buying real estate, is become a seller consultant, figuring out how to actually squeeze the most possible juice out of a deal, not just on the buying side, but most importantly, the selling side. It's got to make sense for your guy. So again, all of these metrics are the same. The difference here, as you'll notice, is instead of us providing 25% down, the seller actually leaves $500,000 in the deal, and we'll pay him 6% interest on that money. What this will look like on the HUD statement is our first position mortgage from West Alabama Bank, Renaissance Bank, Millennial Bank, one of our local property or our bankers that we work with, and our seller will leave in the regards of a second mortgage behind our bank. And so most sellers would say the same thing. They say, well, I don't want to be behind somebody else. I don't like my collateral position. But the fact is that your seller will have just as much authority to call a foreclosure on that note if I get abducted by aliens and I don't pay a mortgage. They have just as much authority any time that if I don't do something that I say I'm not going to do, that mortgage is recorded the same way our first position mortgage is. It's all the same. You have just as much of authority and power to call that note and foreclose if I do not pay my mortgage. So just know that the strength of that debt is just as strong as the first position. But again, you'll notice in the closing proceeds, instead of him receiving $1.88 million at closing, they're only going to receive $1.38 million at closing. Capital gains are going to be a little bit lower because your tax bracket is the same, and then you'll pay a little bit less taxes that are owed. So you'll walk away with a little bit less. You'll see in this motion right here, it's $1.635 million. In this motion, it's $1.31 million. But the whole point, this is really where it gets cool, is the balloon note after a certain number of months. So we call this at 60 months. That's our initial offer. So $500,000 is in the form of a second mortgage. There's going to be a capital gain in the future after those 60 months go by. We're going to pay you a total amount of interest of $150,000 of interest over the lifetime of that second mortgage. Again, we're not accountants. We don't know what the tax bracket's going to look like in the future. Most likely it's going to be lower than what it will be when you have this massive capital gain on the front end. So you will be paying less taxes. So you'll be able to walk away with a total amount of money, which is the balloon plus all the interest. Your walk away number will be $575,000, which will equate to a total walk. Instead of that number being 1.635, it'll be 1.885 million, which is a difference of $250,000 that you'll receive more than you would have if we just did a traditional closing like what a lot of people do in real estate already. So again, it may or may not be for y'all. I just wanted to walk you through the pro forma and the understanding of why this makes so much more sense for sellers. Most people just are never approached with a different creative idea like this, but it allows you to create more cash flow than money just sitting in a checking account rotting away to inflation. It creates new money coming in every month, and you also will most likely, again, I'm not a CPA, pay less tax and put more money in your pocket than you would have if you would have just done a traditional way. So I wanted to explain this. If you have any more questions, I'm always wide open to answer. But again, I look at this as a teammateship. We're on the same page trying to squeeze the most juice. It's not me and you versus each other. It's you and me versus Uncle Sam. He's the bad guy. Let's keep more money in our pocket versus giving it to Uncle Sam to go pay an interest or waste money like they're really good at. So thanks for your time. Talk to you guys soon.